Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Running the Bases. I am Michael Garaffa, joined today by Ryan Blank and Spencer Sheehawk. Boys, welcome back. It's been a little while. We took ourselves a little time off at the beginning of the summer. School's been out for like almost a month and a half now. It's
month and a half.
Yeah.
Where did you finish up?
A month,
earlier than we did. It's been a month because Multiverse of Madness came out, and that was the end of the semester.
Well, I don't recall, so I'm just gonna stick with my month and a half.
Somebody definitely skipped his finals.
I didn't have finals.
Somebody hasn't been focusing.
I had no final. Hey, this was my best semester in college I ever had. I finished with my highest GPA ever. I was very proud. It was a great semester. I was very happy with it. Thank you, Ryan and Spencer. It was great. How did you guys do at the end of the year?
I got Dean's List once again. So
I didn't get the. What is the requirement to be on the Dean's List?
3.5.
3.5.
I got a 3.8, and I didn't get anything.
Well,
You don't know that.
You're not going to get anything yet. You just know you're going to be on it.
Oh, sick!
I've now been on it every semester of college.
I have not ever, and I'm so happy that I might have a chance to be on there. I can see my name on the wall next year. I'm stoked. What about you, Spencer? How'd your year end up?
I was completely fried. I was taking a month off, whether or not we all were or not. So I'm doing better though. I had a lot of fun coming up with this top 10 list here today.
Well, I haven't even looked at it yet. I'm going to do that while Ryan does his Royals rant in just a few moments because we'll have a good couple of minutes.
No, you're not. I'm going to do this quick because the more I talk about it, the more pissed off I get.
It'll still give me, even if you give me a minute, it'll give me enough time. That's all.
The top 10 is so easy; it shouldn't take them more than a quick rant.
Exactly. But yeah, so we did take a month off because it was crazy. The semester was nuts for all of us. It was a very hectic semester, and I must say I've enjoyed not having to worry about anything. Gotten to do a lot of things. Ryan, you have as well. We've both been doing a lot. Spencer, what have you been up to so far this summer?
I was helping take care of a family member and starting up summer school to get my BA at the end of the summer. So I've been taking a well-needed little bit of a break here. So it's been really good.
Nice and chill.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear it. Well, I'm glad that we are all in good places in our I should say our journalism careers, because if I say we're all in good places, Ryan might blow a fuse. But that leads us to there isn't tons to talk about today. What we're doing is we're just going to talk about how our teams are doing. And then we're going to do our power rankings, just doing our top 10 this week. And I think that's just what we're going to do going forward. Also, keep in mind, don't know when we're going to be doing these shows. It's pretty much going to just be on the fly whenever we feel like doing them, because my schedule is crazy, and we'll just kind of see when things work out, because with all four of us, it's going to be very hard. Last summer was a little easier because there was 3 of us, but even at that, it was pretty crazy. So I think we'll start with Spencer, because the D-backs are they're a little bit playing a little bit better, and they're also not going to require as much conversation. So Ryan, will save you for second, and then me for last. So Spencer, take it away. I'll put you on the.
I'm going to cut in real quick. Michael, be smart here. Be smart and have the Royals last. Just be smart here.
That's a good call. I'll put you last then. All right, so Spencer, I'm going to make you full screen. It's all you.
Go.
Let's hear about the D-backs in 2022.
Well, so far this year, I think they've been a little bit of a surprise. I mean, no one was really expecting, especially in the competitive division that they're in, to come out here and, play about 500 baseball, 26-29. They beat the bad teams and lose to the good ones. I think that's a good place to be at, especially during a rebuild. Most teams like your Cincinnati's, they're going to be tanking. Like your Royals, they're going to be tanking with all these young guys playing, and you don't really know what you're getting into. Now, I hope Mark Melancon loses his reliever role. He has not been looking good in that position whatsoever. Arizona would be above 500 right now if it wasn't for him. But for the most part, looking all right. I don't expect them to ever go out and make any big trades. I hope they make something smart happen. They're not too far off from the wild card. I think they might be the example of a team that maybe they're not going to sacrifice anything. That being said, though, maybe they'll find something that they can get for cheap that maybe will help them just a little bit. I think seeing Dallas Keuchel being picked up by them as an example of that. Obviously, the start to a season has been awful, but he's a guy that if he puts it together, that's a Cy Young Award winner in the past. But overall, guys, I wouldn't at all consider them anywhere near as good as your Padres, your Dodgers, your Yankees. I don't think they're gonna ever sniff that. Maybe they bring up a couple more young guys that they have in the wings here, and they play as well as guys like Dalton Varsho has so far. Maybe then they sneak in at number 6. It's a little bit more open than it looks right now, which is fascinating. But I think especially if Atlanta continues to get better as they have been, I think Arizona will be a fun but unwinnable team in 2022.
Well, that sums it up pretty perfectly. The D-backs have been surprising, but again, like you mentioned, there's not much of a likelihood that they make it to the playoffs, but you never know. There's always a chance, and it can make things a little bit more exciting as we get down the stretch. So that'll roll into me, and as much as I hate putting myself on the full screen, I'll just do it anyways for the sake of the continuity here. So we've got the New York Mets, and what more can I say about the Mets? Honestly, this team this year has been playing the way they should for the first time ever. The Mets are actually playing well. They're playing through injuries and playing very, very well. They don't have their top 3 pitchers, and they still have the best record in the National League. I mean, there's not much more I can say. I mean, this team just split a series with the Dodgers in which the Dodgers threw out everyone they had, and the Mets managed to beat them 2 out of 4 by beating their 2 better pitchers in the series. Obviously not this year, but still. And I think that series proved to me one thing, and that's that the Mets can beat anyone. And that's something that the Mets haven't been able to say in a really long time. And I think for the first time ever, you guys can also agree with me on that, which we'll talk about more later when we get to the power rankings. But this Mets team is surprising. They really are. I mean, the fact that they just split a 4-game set with the Dodgers where they had Taijuan Walker, Chris Bassett, David Peterson, and Trevor Williams on the mound, and they won the 2 games of Peterson and Williams, just goes to show you that when they get McGill, DeGrom, and Scherzer all healthy, this team's they're going to be tough to beat. And I'm not one to say that divisions are locked up early on in the season. And yes, it's an 8.5 game lead. The Braves have been hot lately. It's the Mets division to lose. And it's going to be really hard for them to lose it. Obviously things happen, but you never know. It seems to me right now that the Mets are going to have this division unlocked for the rest of the year and just try and improve as they go along, get ready for the playoffs, get their players healthy. But we'll see. Obviously, it's a long season for a reason. I'm hopeful, skeptical, but hopeful. But being 18 games over 500 on June 6th and an 8.5 game lead I'm very darn happy with it. So I won't complain. All right, Ryan, it's time for you. Take it away.
Well, I'm glad you two are happy with your teams, because this year's been a complete failure, disappointment. It's been pathetic. What other words can I use? Guys, throw out a couple while I think. An embarrassment. This team is
preposterous,
atrocious,
sloppy.
And let me explain the only good thing about this team so far this year. The only good thing was that they fired Terry Bradshaw when the offense couldn't do anything. And now look at the offense. They're actually able to score some runs. Everything else has been pathetic. The Royals before tonight, and they're in a rain delay, which is kind of a blessing in disguise. They're 17-35 and have a run differential of -81. They are the worst team in baseball. I don't even know what to say. I don't. Because they started out the season 2-0, beating Cleveland twice. Since then, 15-35 in their past 50 games. All I can say is the amount of times I have cussed out Cal Eldred and Mike Matheny in my head is ridiculous. I want to ask you guys a question. How many times have the Royals allowed 7 or more runs this year? How many games?
Let's make guesses. I'm going to go with how many games have you guys played again? 52?
52.
Yeah.
25.
I'm going to say 26.
20.
Yes.
20 games where they have allowed 7 or more runs. Now, let's counter in about 8 of those. They've given up 6. It is pathetic. They have the fourth worst ERA in the league at 5.12. Third worst whip, 1.5. Opponent batting average is 270. When has that ever been acceptable? And these next two just show how terrible Cal Eldred is at his job. Royals have the least amount of strikeouts in the league, 353 to be exact. That is 32 less than the Rockies, who are in at 29. The Royals have also given up the 4th most walks with 204. They have the MLB worst, and not just this year, but ever. The worst in MLB history, 1.73 strikeout to walk ratio. The worst ever at the end of a season was the Astros back in, I believe, 2010, where it was 1.76. They lost 111 games. The Royals are on pace to lose, I believe, 115. And let's factor in some more. Vinny Pasquantino, one of the top prospects for the Royals, in AAA so far this year, has 15 homers. There's no excuse that he should not be up. No excuse for him not to be at the major league level. Carlos Santana has a total of 20 hits, and yet they're starting him every day. I have lost words on how terrible this team is. And yet you're wasting Bobby Witt, who's, I know he struggled at the start, but he has picked it up. But let's also remember the Phillies, they fired Joe Girardi. Yet the Royals can't fire the worst pitching coach in baseball, and in my opinion, the worst manager in baseball. But yet Joe Girardi can lose his job. All this shows to me is that the ownership does not care, that their team is an embarrassment. The A's average under 5,000 fans per game, and they have more wins than the Royals. The Reds, who started off 3-20, have more wins than the Royals. The Royals have not won a series since they took 2 out of 3 from the Rockies in the middle of May. They have been beaten down countless times since then. I believe they're, to be exact, 4 or 5-16. And the worst part is the Royals don't even know what they want to do with Andrew Benintendi yet. If you're going to trade Benintendi, trade him now when his value is high. Otherwise, extend him, which I think they should do because he's been the only consistent hitter all year long. This team has been historically bad. The pitching has been historically bad. And yet the Royals are like, yeah, Cal Eldred's job, his job is safe. How? And I cannot understand how the Royals are refusing to make a switch at pitching coach. You see what Alex Zumwalt is doing with the offense. The offense has been very much improved. And here's the thing. Michael, you mentioned injuries. The New York teams rack them up every year. But it's hard because one of my favorite players on the Royals continuously gets hurt, and that's Mondesi. And the thing that's frustrating about that is that the Royals can't trade him because he has absolutely no value. But when he's on the field, he actually has some value because he's great defensively. He's a fine hitter. I have backed up Dayton Moore for so many years. It's crazy how much I've backed him up. If he does not make a switch soon, and at least pitching coach, Kansas City is going to want him fired. And I don't blame him because he has done nothing to help this team since 2015. Wouldn't dish out any money to keep anyone, neither would the ownership. And then John Sherman comes in and says, yeah, I'm going to dish out some money. I'm ready to help this team get back to being competitive. The team is on their worst start in 16 years. Since before Dayton Moore was the GM. Where does this make sense? Oh, it doesn't. because the Royals have an incompetent front office right now that won't make any switches. So, yeah, my start to the summer with Royals baseball has been absolutely pathetic.
Well, that was exactly 6 minutes. I'm proud of you for keeping it under 15. I thought I'm very informed about the Royals. The amount of times I've done this show that this seat cushion underneath me has to be adjusted is unbelievable. It always, like, you constantly see me whenever we're home and doing these shows adjusting. I just had to put that out there because it's frustrating. Also,
you want to know
yes,
what's funny?
What?
The other day, when the Royals had a day off, I texted my friend's group chat. I was like, the Royals didn't lose today. They're like, wait, did they win? I was like, no, there's an off day. And we all said, thank God. It is near unwatchable baseball at this point. And the worst part is that there's so much talent on that team with Bobby Witt, Andrew Benintendi, Witt, who struggled at the start, starting to get a little bit of a groove, Salvi, who's been on and off the IL. The talent is there, but it doesn't help that you have a terrible pitching coach and an incompetent manager who never deserved the job in the first place. I don't care about his successes in St. Louis. Look at the team that he had. It's an embarrassment that under his reign, they didn't get farther in the playoffs than they did.
That's very true. Also, shout out to our homie Devin Ott, who has been here since the very beginning on this show. He's been a fan of the show for a long time.
I'm still in the private chat. I don't see any comments.
He's been commenting for a little while.
16, that was the best guess.
He made a good guess.
He mentioned Modesty too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did it before you even said it.
Oh, I hadn't paid attention. I had on the private chat.
Yeah, he's been here. It's really funny, Spencer. You wouldn't know Devin Ott. We don't know who he is in person, but he's been following the show for like 2 years now. He's I don't remember whatever the first show it was. You're muted, Spencer. I don't know whatever first show it was, but it was a long time ago, and he just started commenting, and he's been around ever since. He's quite the legend. So welcome, Devin. It's nice to see you.
Thank you, Devin, for taking the time and listening to us. I hope I've been a sight for short years and such.
Well, this guy's he's literally our biggest and only fan that's not related to or know us. So Devin, big shout out to you.
Probably the most loyal follower of this show.
Literally, other than my mother and your mother, Ryan, I think we've.
I think he's more loyal than my mother.
Well, mine listens to pretty much every show, so he's probably in a tie. So shout out to you, Devin. You're a legend. Been here since day one. So that brings us to our power rankings. We got here a lot quicker than I thought this week, but you know what? That's okay. I'm all for shorter shows when we can, because sometimes we just go a lot longer, and I take.
Wait, also, Spencer,
you take some more time with these power rankings here.
Wait, Spencer, you mentioned something very important by the Diamondbacks.
What about
Cole Tucker?
Yes, he just hit his first home run, by the way.
Yeah.
Or no, that was Kyle Tucker. I apologize.
Kyle Tucker hit one already.
Vanessa Hutchins will be keeping an eye out for.
I know.
In the
valley. Have to invite her up to the booth.
Yeah.
Yes, because you have that power, Michael.
I can't dance.
I don't, but if she ends up coming up to the booth at some point, I can shake her hand. Even though there's no reason that would ever happen. But that job with the D-backs does start in a little over a week now, which I'm very excited about. Can't wait to get out there and do that. Yeah, so let's roll into the power rankings, shall we? We've got our top 10. I squeezed it out. And like you said, Spencer, it's a little bit of an easy top 10, but honestly, for me, looking at it, it's really the top 7 stand out to me. Like 10 through 8 are simply just there because we need to fill in those spots. But top 7 and even really just top 6.
I don't know. I haven't broken down into sections, and I'll explain what each of them are once we complete them. But I feel like there's like sections to this.
All right. Well, we'll take a look at your sections when as we approach them all. So we start off with number 10.
Michael, I asked you to appreciate something that you did.
Yes.
What we did at the middle of last year was we did 30 and then the top 10. I'm glad we're not talking about 30.
Oh, yeah. The Royals. I have the Reds at 29 and the Nats at 28.
Okay. I haven't been keeping up with my power rankings like I did last year. Last year, I would literally update it every single day, and I didn't.
Dude.
No, I'm not that bad.
Oh, I would. Literally, day would be over, games would be done, and I would move teams around so that I had the most accurate power rankings.
I have to
It
address
was-
Devin's comment. Devin, the
No,
Royals
that's
are unwatchable.
only.
The Royals are unwatchable. That's 100%. I'm actually glad
I
they're
saw
in
them when they were at Chase.
Really?
Yeah, I was there.
Bobby
I
Witt.
was there for the Monday game. They hit 3 home runs to start out the game, and then Arizona eventually came back because the only thing
That
was
was-
the Diamondback bullpen. It's the Kansas City bullpen.
Yeah, that was.
Just the
that was
entire
the-
Royals pitching staff is terrible.
Yeah, Zach Greinke kind of put up a goose egg. So
He's also hurt right now, which does not help.
That was probably
No.
the start that hurt him.
No,
Yeah.
it doesn't. Are you guys the only team without? No, you're one of 2 teams without 20 wins in baseball. Excuse
Thanks,
me.
Michael. Thanks.
Well, hey, at least you're
Yeah,
along.
not
The
gonna
other
reach it
team
in the
without
next
20
three
wins
games
has
'cause
looked
they're-
a lot better since
guess who they're facing?
5.
Who are they facing?
They have Toronto.
Yikes!
They're going
sorry.
to shell them. But
Yikes.
I do want to mention a team. Michael, you're
Right.
wearing the team shirt, and it seems
Oh, yeah.
to be Devin's favorite team,
It
the
does,
White
yeah.
Sox.
Yeah.
They're only
My Tim
unwatchable
Anderson
right now.
shirt.
It's just because they're hurt. They can't get healthy.
They're falling too
Best
far
thing the White
behind.
Sox did, though, in the recent weeks was get rid of Keuchel, who's been terrible.
Now Diamondback.
Yeah, I
Or
thought
I
the Mets
should
were
say
going to
back
snag
to
him.
Brent
Ace,
Strom, though.
Ace Dallas Keuchel.
He's back
Yeah,
with
right.
Brent Strom, who's done a fantastic job.
He has. He really has. I mean, that D-backs pitching staff has looked unbelievable
Starting staff.
compared to what they should be. Yes, starting staff. Yeah, that's true.
That bullpen.
But they've been pretty good all around, though. A lot better than you would expect.
Well,
So
I mean, yeah.
it's their liquored up manager that kills me.
Yeah.
says
Oh, yeah,
Devin.
they have the drunk in the clubhouse, Tony La Russa. I'm still
sure-
shocked that he's managing at
I think
this
I'm
point.
mumbling.
I wonder how
I was
many
gonna say-
games that have driven him to the bottle.
Probably a lot. Especially the way this team's looking this year, it has not been pretty.
What do you
for the White
think? Once
Sox.
they get healthy, they'll turn it around. I'm not
They
worried
already
about the White
have,
Sox
I mean-
as much as a lot of people are, because they're without a lot of their top guys. Once everyone gets healthy, I think the team is going to win the division, which is wide open because nobody's really standing out besides the Twins.
Yeah, and that's
And
not even.
they're, I mean, standing out.
Yeah, they just have a big lead.
Okay, let
and
me
that's
explain
it.
how they stand out. They stand out amongst the weak.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
did.
Okay,
It's-
Devin, that is bad. That Larry Garcia is the leadoff hitter in the third spot. That's bad.
Yeah, the White Sox they've gone through it this year. It's too bad. Obviously, you've got to get yourself healthy, but it's starting to get a little late in the season to fall behind. Thankfully, it's only 5 games, and thankfully, like we said,
Hey, it's
that
okay.
Central's.
There are 2 AL Central teams with incompetent managers: the White Sox and the Royals.
Yeah, that's fair.
The only good thing I can say about Mike Matheny is that he's not a drunk.
That's fair.
You guys know I don't like Tony La Russa.
I know. I see.
I
that.
don't think
It's
he's a
very
good
funny.
manager anymore.
It's. I haven't watched him enough. You have, so I have to defer to you when it comes to any of that.
With all the
It's-
talent that White Sox team has, it's kind of embarrassing what they've done. Let's just
It really
say
is.
that way.
It seriously is. So we'll slide into our power rankings, shall we? At number 10, we'll go in backwards order. We'll go Spencer, Ryan, and then myself.
Oh, so at number 10, I put down the Twins. And even then, I was kind of hesitant about it, but I figured they're leading their division. They're good. And there really wasn't another team that I felt all that comfortable with putting in that 10 spot. Right, I'm curious to see what you guys had to say because honestly, I mean, the Twins have looked good so far this year, but I haven't really been swept off my feet just yet. And I feel like 10 could have gone to a lot of teams.
Yeah, right now I actually have the Cardinals at 10. And here's the thing.
Hmm.
I think it might be a little bit low, but
The
man,
Cardinals
Cole Goldschmidt's
are
playing
low?
really well. He's kind of inserting himself into that MVP race. I know it's early, but still, he's been playing extremely well. I'm worried about the pitching.
The
But-
pitching has been awful. That's the only reason. I don't even have him in the top 10 because of how awful that staff's been.
Yeah, that's my big worry. The offense is there. It's always
The
been
offense
there.
has
The
been
defense is
great.
there. It's just the pitching has been really bad. So I'm still waiting for them to pick it up because once that pitching gets going, that team could really be a threat and taking over that division and winning it over the Brewers?
Ooh, it's going to be tough. I do have the Cardinals in my top 10. We'll get to them soon. At number 10, I agree with you, Spencer. I've got the Twins. The only reason they're here is because they're leading their division, and they have a 4.5 game lead. If it weren't for that, they would not be anywhere near this top 10. They'd probably be maybe 14 or 15. But leading your division in this day and age, it matters. And especially at this point in the season, a 4.5 game lead is pretty big. I mean, so far, there are only 2 divisions in baseball that have really close divisions, and that's the NL West and the NL Central. The Central's a half game difference, and the West is a 2 game difference. And like you mentioned, Ryan, the AL Central can really change at any moment. But as of right now, it's been pretty much runaways for the rest of the leagues. And that's something we're not used to seeing at this point. But that's why
it's been a weird year. And what a way for people that were very much against extending the playoff format. This helps their argument 100%. Because really, you have below 500 teams that are right in the wild card race, which, let's be honest, is unacceptable. It's like when the Seahawks went 7-9 and made the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's fair.
It's just,
but I
again,
will say,
I'm for extending the playoff format just because playoff baseball is electric. But the argument for people that don't like it is very much alive because of how many teams that are struggling so far that really shouldn't be.
That's going to force struggling teams, though, to have to decide whether or not they want to play better. And I'm sure some teams will be like, okay, let's try this.
Yeah.
Well, I think the key example of that is and I don't even know if it's necessarily the playoffs. I think it's more of the lottery. But the lottery is showing to me, like, look at what the Reds have done. The Reds went from being 2-15, no reason to keep competing, but because they know they don't get that automatic number 1 pick, they kept playing. They kept playing hard. And that's a good thing, and that's forcing that extra competitiveness. And I think having the expanded playoffs,
like they have the number 1 pick locked up.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. But
I honestly am thinking that Dayton Moore and the front office are forgetting about the little lottery. They're just
you should pen them a letter. You should.
If I penned them a letter, I would never be allowed in Kauffman Stadium ever again.
Well, you send it anonymously, and then they'll never know. You just say from a concern.
I also would like to get a job with the Royals in the future, so we're going to hold off on that one.
You're still just a concerned fan. You don't send your name or address. You send it from a random address.
Just
here's the funny thing. You guys want to know something pathetic?
Yes.
The Royals now opened up this fountain seats package.
Mm-hmm.
Every month. It is $30. You can go to every game in that month.
That's a great
$1
deal.
a day.
Amazing.
It's pathetic that they have to get to that point to get people to go.
No, that's good. Every team should do that.
It is pathetic, though.
Because I'm going to buy it next month.
Yeah.
I would. Yeah, dude.
I'm going to buy it next month. Just with my schedule.
Awesome.
I don't know how many games I'll be able to get to, but
yeah. Well, $30, that's a game.
Great deal.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I went to one Royals game this year, and they beat the White Sox, so I was happy.
Wow, that's impressive.
Wow.
Can't complain about that. That's for sure. Mets went 2-1 this year when I watched them. So
6 straight games.
Hey, at least you got to see them win.
Hey,
all right.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Completing the section of my power rankings that I would call the cliff.
Okay.
So like if we're going from the ground up, there's like the massive canyon, and this is like the points on the canyon where it's falling, but it's not completely sunken in.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'd put the Giants at number 9.
They're
looking all right. They aren't bad yet. I think there's a lot of those single stats that would show that they're going to end up playing a lot better. Their strength of schedule has been one of the toughest so far this year, and they have 3 less losses than the Twins. 3.
Yeah, but the Cardinals have been better than both them and the Twins this season, and you don't even have them in your top 10.
The pitching staff hasn't been, though. The pitching staff and the offense there, I just think.
I understand why the Cardinals are outside of his top 10. Just because
I do too, yes.
Been terrible. For me at number 9, I have the Rays.
Okay.
They're there. The pitching's good, as always, but still lacking an impact bat. That's really what it is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They have not.
And really, with how the Red Sox are playing, they've kind of turned it on. The Rays could easily fall into the 4th spot if the Red Sox continue to play like they are.
It's possible. It's really
It is.
possible.
How high do you have the Rays then if you're getting all, or do you not even have them?
Me? I have
Yeah.
the Rays at 9. I have them at 9.
Okay.
I'm talking about how it's more surprising that the Rays are. I also was kind of distracted because I was watching a video of Nolan Ryan throwing a first pitch that's going around viral for some reason, like years later, where he threw 83 on a first pitch of a game from like 8 years ago. So I wasn't fully paying attention, but
That pitch was 8 years ago, you said, right?
it was, I don't know how long ago, but it was.
You guys think he can
within
still
a-
throw 75? Because if so, I'll give his contact to the Royals and they can sign to a 1-year deal.
He probably
It was at
could.
least 30 years ago. So.
Well, no, the video that I just watched was at Globe Life Park in Arlington. And it was the
first pitch. Oh,
yeah,
I thought you meant
like him out there tossing out the first pitch, and it was 83 miles an hour. So there's a chance. Yeah, I've got the Rays at 9 too. I'm more concerned because to me the AL East still isn't locked up yet. I'm fully anticipating the Yankees are going to fall on their face, but it's going to happen soon if this is going to happen because.
Mm-hmm.
As we get closer to the trade deadline, because the way I'm looking at it is this team is too old for them to keep it up all year. Maybe the Yankees this year are last year's Giants, where no one expected them to do well, and then they have the best record in baseball, and everyone's like, what the heck? How is this happening? Because I remember last year vividly telling people all year long the Giants are going to fail, give it time, and they didn't. And if the Yankees still have this going by the time of the trade deadline, they're going to make some big trades and they're going to win that division. They're going to run away with it. But for the teams behind them, man, the time is now. They've got to knock the Yankees off because if they can keep the Yankees within maybe 3 or 4 games of being grabbable at the trade deadline, then it could be over for the Yankees. So to me, the Rays just need to step it up a little bit. But as usual, here are the Rays, 8 games over 500, and you probably couldn't name 5 players on the team. That's just the way it goes. Every year, we did it again this year for like the 5th straight season where we said, no, maybe this is the year the Rays actually don't do that well. And here we are, and the Rays are doing it again. So welcome.
The Rays are always going to be there because they have one, I believe, a top 5 manager. They also have an elite pitching staff every single year. The question is always their lack of an impact bat, and can the offense sustain enough to really give them a push? That's always the question with Tampa Bay.
And to me, that's what puts them on the edge of the cliff for me. I agree with
number 8. Actually, I think that's a good comparison for them.
Okay. I have them at number 8 because they could slip and they end up spiraling, or they could take a few steps forward and actually maybe make a push at this Yankees team.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think the team that's really going to make that push is the Blue Jays. I've been high on them. They were my World Series pick from the AL. I think that team start off slow. They're getting it together. It feels like they're going to get 3 easy wins against the Royals. So, I mean,
everybody gets 3 easy wins against the Royals.
Not true. The Rockies could only take 1 out of 3.
Okay.
Yikes.
The D-backs did beat them twice.
They did.
And they only faced off twice.
I get to see them in Chicago when I'm in Chicago at the end of the summer.
The Royals?
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
You know what? It's a treat to watch Bobby Witt and MJ Melendez.
It is.
Yeah,
it really is.
I get to see them 3 times this year. I'm pumped.
And you know what? I was there for MJ's first career homer. So that's all I can say.
were? Oh, that's elite.
Wow.
It was awesome.
That is so elite. You've got to love that. So, Spencer, your 8 are the Rays. Ryan, who do you have at number 8?
You guys are going to disagree with me. I have the Twins. And here's the thing. The starting rotation has been so good, led by Sonny Gray, who's now on the IL. The starting pitching has been good. The offense comes from guys outside of Correa and Buxton because they've been on and off a lot throughout the year. But this Twins team has shocked me. So I have them at 8 because they've been able to find guys to make up for injuries to Correa and then lack of production from both Correa and Buxton at times. So I have them at 8 for now. Again, early in the season, this is all subject to change. But I think they're a fringe team here in the top 10 for sure.
I don't hate that. I really don't. I'm not that against it. I really don't think that is I don't think that's that atrocious, if you ask me, honestly. I really don't. At number 8, and I just made this swap with my number 7, I've got the Cardinals here at number 8. Like you guys mentioned, pitching's just not there. This year, unlike last, I haven't been able to keep up so much with how every team is doing and how everyone's looked so far. But, I mean, from what I've seen, it really seems like the Cardinals' best pitcher has been like Adam Wainwright this year, which is frightening. But sometimes that's not a bad thing. Have the veteran leading the club in what could be his last year in Major League Baseball, but that can't last. And like I mentioned with the Yankees, the older players, it's very unlikely that lasts throughout the entire season. So the Cardinals are going to have to pick it up. That's why I've got them at number 8.
I just find their bullpen depth not even nearly where it needs to be. I think 8's safe, and I think that's also safe for the Twins too. Like the Cardinals would be 11 or 12 on my list. Like they wouldn't be much further down than
okay.
So it's not out of the question. I don't know. I think San Francisco's still just better. I do.
I think team-wise, there's definitely I could see your argument there. Just they haven't been playing up to it.
Yeah, exactly. And then at number 7, I have the Blue Jays here. I think it's fair for where they've been at. Clearly, they were not able to recreate the 40 home runs from Simeon last year.
Well, he's been terrible so far in Texas. So maybe they did come out with that as a win. I don't know.
Texas isn't getting it either. But what I'm saying though is that clearly the everyone's kind of taken a bit of a step back, except for Springer so far this year.
Who they really need to step up. I've been impressed with Springer.
But I think that overall, I think 7's a good spot for them, especially with the 6 teams that are ahead of them, clearly, except for maybe the one right next to them being better.
For me at 7, I have the Padres, and it's simple. The offense worries me there a lot. Joe Musgrove is pitching himself into getting paid a Brinks truck this offseason. It's crazy. He's pitching so well. The pitching's there for the Padres. It's just that offense. It's either they're crushing it or they're doing nothing. And I need more of that middle ground. I need more consistency from that offense. That's the only reason I'm holding them back from really being a top 5 team.
Well, I think the thing that stands out to me for the Padres, which I will get to when I get to them, is that they are keeping it real close with that Dodgers team, which I don't think any of us expected without Tatis. I'll talk about them though more when we get there.
That actually doesn't shock me that they're keeping it close, mainly because they have a lot of talent on that team. Also, the pitching. It doesn't shock me to see them at where they're at being that close to them. But
they didn't get much better though this winter.
Is what I expect.
They were really good before though.
Yeah, but I mean, falling flat on their face last year, and they basically didn't upgrade at all. I think a lot of us thought that the Padres might just be kind of relying on this bounce back of a season, which it paid off for them. So
they got a guy. Well, they got a guy that actually knows how to ride the wave.
Yes, that makes a big difference. It having a good manager really does make a difference, as you see in New York as well. At number 7, I have the Blue Jays as well, just like Spencer, and I do want to have them higher, but just because they are at 7.5 games back and 9 games over 500 is great. But the teams above them are either in first or have been a little bit hotter as of late. And the Blue Jays are a really great team right now. And I think that this team is another one that is very like and one that I picked to win this division at the beginning of the year. But man, they just need some of those guys to just step up consistently. I mean, it seems like Gausman hasn't been able to do his thing every single day, which is unfortunate. Losing Robbie Ray was a big deal for them. And it has not been a season from the Blue Jays like you really expected them to have. Obviously, you can't expect the Yankees to be 24 games over 500 at this point in the season. So I guess the Blue Jays are pretty much doing everything about right. But it's just the Jays are finding themselves way in the rearview mirror and have to come back with a ton of time left in the season. But it's going to be hard to do.
That was exactly my thought, was that, and that was my worry from the jump of the year, was did they actually recreate the MVP candidate and the Cy Young Award winner? And they didn't add enough outside of the 2 players that they pretty much said, look, we're expecting these 2 guys to champion what those 2 players did, and neither one of them have. Yeah. Completing what I call the math equation section of my power rankings are the Brewers, because holy cow have they been disappointing but still really good, which I think is so bizarre to see. because they still are, I think, one of the best by far, even with Corbin Burns not playing up to potential and still being somehow, I feel like, one of the favorites right now for the NL Cy Young. Woodruff going out is a big deal, but you know what? They're one of the best slugging teams in baseball, and there's another team in New York City that's kind of championed that this year and have the best record in baseball because of it. And the Mets have used some of that too. But overall, I think the Brewers being at 6 is disappointing for the type of roster that they have, but still don't match up quite yet to how these other great teams have been playing.
For me at 6, I have the Blue Jays. Team's gotten hot. They're playing a lot better. But Vladdy's kind of been a little bit disappointing. Hasn't really showcased that power that we saw all throughout last year. Pitching's been a little bit suspect with Hyun-Jin Ryu. Gosman's been good. Barish has been solid. But overall, I'm still waiting for this team to really hit their stride. They're starting to get there. Haven't done it yet. So that's why they're just outside of my top 5. But once they do, this team is a real threat to the Yankees at the top of the AL East.
Barrios is the one I was thinking of before that I couldn't remember his name. That he's been actually really awful this year. He's got like a 5 ERA so far. It's been a shame to see him just struggle so much, especially after getting that contract extension. I agree with Spencer. I've got the Brewers at number 6, and my main reason for this is that pretty much for the same reason that Spencer says. The Brewers are doing pretty much the same thing they always do, and that's not making headlines, but playing really well. They are winning games. They're not winning recently, but they're winning games, and they're not really jumping off the page at you. I couldn't tell you how any of their players are doing right now. While, yes, Corbin Burns is having a great season, like none of these guys are making headlines at all. But they're 33-23 in a division that is playing better than you thought it would. The Pirates are in 3rd place somehow, which is shocking. And the Cardinals are obviously a real threat to win that division at the same time. So the Brewers ain't going to go anywhere. But right now, I think that out of the 3 division leaders and out of all the division leaders in baseball, they're probably they're definitely the worst division leader in the National League, obviously. And I'd say they're probably at 5th in Major League Baseball, right ahead of the Twins. So that's why they've just got that 6th spot.
Well, at number 5, this is where I put the Padres. And here's the difference maker for me right now. Is not only has Musgrove played great, but Sean Manaea has looked like a genius pickup for the Padres, even more so than what people were expecting. And also, if Mackenzie Gore keeps being this superstar young kid coming out here, and they're going to add a player with more swagger than the Toronto Blue Jays at some point this year. It's like picking up a free agent, how late he's going to be coming back. I really do think that right now, the Padres, they're going to be a team to beat. They're not going to be a team competing. They're going to be a team to beat in the upcoming months here.
For me at 5, a team that you guys have been talking about a lot, kind of disappointing, but yet they're still winning games and they're at the top of their division, the Brewers. You guys mentioned it. I'm not going to go into more detail, but despite really kind of struggling and not really making headlines, the team's still winning. Rowdy Tellez is really showing his power throughout the year. That's been great for them. Colton Wong's hitting better than he usually does. So the team's scoring a lot of runs, a lot more runs than I anticipated because I was worried about the offense, which I have been because they're pitching dominant as a team, but they're still a top 5 team because not a lot of teams are really standing out. We've talked about this a few times, Michael. It's really been the top 3 and then everyone else kind of.
Well, at number 5, I agree with Spencer. I also have the Padres here. Team the Mets are actually playing this week in a 3-game set. They don't get to see Gore in that series, which I'm disappointed about, but just listen to these matchups. You've got Carrasco and Snell today. You've got Taijuan Walker and Yu Darvish tomorrow, and you've got Bassett and Manaea on Wednesday. That is going to be a great series, and it's going to give me a real good look at this Padres team. And like Spencer said, and I don't need to go too deep into detail, but once this team gets Tatis back, Padres are going to make a real push to win that division. It's going to be a race. Like what we saw last year with the Giants and the Dodgers, the Padres and Dodgers this year is going to be what we thought it was going to be last year. And I am so here for it, so ready for it, and it's going to just make baseball so much better. So I've got them my number 5 because being able to do this well without Tatis, I just have to have them there.
So this completes my hot and cold section of my top 10 list because the Padres right now, they have a great offense and an elite pitching staff right now. I feel like the Houston Astros, correct me if I'm wrong here, their offense so far this year, I would argue, has been elite, and their pitching staff has been pretty great too. So that's why I give Houston this spot here at number 4. Just so far this year, I think part of that also comes into the league that they're in. I think the American League, the offense just plays such a larger role that's why I would give them 4. But really, the Padres and Astros on any given week right now would switch.
For me at 4, it's the Astros. I don't get it with this team. They lose Carlos Correa, and they're still winning games. Kyle Tucker now has, I believe, 10 homers. Altuve hasn't really stood out like crazy. Yordan Alvarez just got paid. He's been fantastic. And then Justin Verlander, I don't get it. He ages like a fine wine, I swear. The older he gets, the better he gets. It's crazy. So this team's been extremely impressive. They might really make a run for that AL crown. Honestly, that team is extremely talented, especially with the struggles from the Angels, losing 11 in a row. This division could be the Astros to lose.
Well, I think I just solidified our first clean sweep of the day because I've got the Astros as well here at number 4. And I think we also are going to probably completely agree, not necessarily in the placement, but we should all have the same 4 teams in our top 4 here. But I'm just trying to pull the numbers up because I think it's really important to analyze, because you brought up Carlos Correa and losing Carlos Correa for the Astros. And to me, it's the most impressive part about this has been how Jeremy Pena's played. Jeremy Pena hitting 278, Carlos Correa 279. Pena 8 home runs, Correa 3. Pena 24 RBIs, Correa 16. Quite simply, Jeremy Pena has been a better baseball player in 2022 than Carlos Correa has. And that is why the Astros are still winning, because Yordan Alvarez is one of the best hitters in baseball. He is going to continue to be one of the best hitters in baseball. And like Ryan said, Justin Verlander is just unbelievable. He was my pick to win the Cy Young before the season, and he is making me look like a genius because I was one of the only people to do it. I picked that comeback from a mile away, and I you know what? I was expecting the wine to age this way, and I'm very glad it has because, man, that Astros team, they're not getting as much attention because they were really – I mean, it was funny that the Angels are getting all the attention in that division, but the Angels have now fallen off the face of the earth by losing 11 in a row. So it's the Astros division.
Oh,
yeah,
Angels.
Right. Yeah, I don't think anyone expected the Angels to really keep that up. But we were hoping just to get to see the Shohei and Trout show in the playoffs. But that's
neither one of them have been showing either.
Well, I mean, Mike Trout has, but
not in the last month and a half now.
I know we don't need to have this conversation again. We had it the other day.
No, we're not doing this. No, let's just move on.
He's not the best player anymore this season.
Spencer, who's your number 3? Just go. Who's your number 3?
Number 3 right now in my pay-to-play section, I have the Mets.
Okay, I agree. The Mets are number 3.
Their top 2 pitchers are out. I don't think one of them's ever coming back in the rest of history forever. So right now, they're at number 3 because of that.
I have them at 3.
He is coming back, but okay.
I have them at 3 because, honestly, the Dodgers' depth is greater than the Mets. And yeah. I know, Michael, you hate that both of us have the Mets at 3. I know they split the series, but, man, the Dodgers should have won the series 3-1.
Okay, that's a Sunday game. There's not going to be that ghost runner there.
They are winless in extra innings this year. If they can flip that and actually win in extra innings, this team is still, I believe, unbeatable when it comes to a certain extent. The offense, I would probably take over the Mets. I'd take the Dodgers offense over the Mets. Mookie Betts, to both of you.
Oh, easily. Dodgers offense is the
I've been
greatest
on the Mookie
ever
Betts train.
constructed
You
offense.
both called me crazy for keeping him in my top 10 players in MLB. And look,
Yeah,
who's
we were
proving
wrong.
everyone wrong.
Okay. I would like to
Mookie
say
is still that guy.
I would like to say no, he's never been this guy before. If he had this type of power numbers in Boston, he'd still be in Boston because they would have given him all the money.
He's
never had a slugging percentage like this before. He's never gone off like this before.
I proved you both wrong on this. And Nick has been
totally wrong.
my sidekick on this one. Mookie is that guy. And honestly, I'm waiting for Freddie Freeman to truly turn it on. He's been solid. Hitting 300, he's been solid, but he really is not getting the power. Once he gets that going, I can see a little bit more improvement. The main worry with the Dodgers is Kimbrel's been terrible.
Yes.
Flat out, he's been terrible. So if they can get him to be a little bit more consistent, the bullpen's short up a little bit. They're facing a few injuries, but the Dodgers, man, that team is so talented. So, yes, the Dodgers are at 2 for me. The Mets are at 3. Sorry, I just gave away my 2.
It's okay. And Mookie Betts did have a better slugging percentage in Boston one year in 2018. He had a 640.
That was when they were cheating, remember? And he only played 130 games. If he plays 150.
Well, he's only played 150 3 times before.
That's what I'm saying. He's on pace right now, though, to
obliterate that. Yes, this would be one of the best years of his career. But didn't he win the MVP in 2018 anyways? Yeah, he did. Yes. He won the MVP that year.
When the team was cheating.
Well, we know, but they haven't taken the Astros ring away yet either. So, well, at least get a little bit of respect for this by having the Dodgers at 3rd, because I do have an explanation for my simple explanation for having the Dodgers.
The explanation is bias.
No, it's simply not
the real reason for it.
It's called a joke.
I know. Ryan is, I could tell finally is, he's appreciating the Mets, which I never thought I'd see the day.
No, I still hate the Mets.
No, I didn't say
like
you
the Mets.
don't hate them.
Who said I appreciate them? I 100%. You guys know I don't like the Yankees either. I 100% am more of a Yankees fan than I am a Mets fan.
Really?
That's unfortunate.
Yes.
And I'm sorry to say that I contributed to that 100%.
Yes. Michael is a huge reason for this.
I'm the only
How you hate the Mets, though? I really don't know how anybody could hate the Mets.
Honestly, it's their owner.
It's like
the rich owner. He doesn't care about money. He'll do anything.
It's the kid. It's like you. It's like punching down on somebody to hate the Mets.
I just don't like the Mets.
They've been so bad. Like,
it's okay, Spencer. I deal with it long enough.
I'm just happy.
So here's.
I'll always have.
I'm not doing that for you. I genuinely just.
That's all I'm happy
like,
about.
You know what I mean? Like, if I had to pick a team in New York, I'd still pick the Mets.
Well, I think most people would. I know you would. You're one of like 10%, but that's okay. And now, Ryan, what if the Mets beat the Dodgers? What if the Mets beat the Royals in a World Series sometime down the line? Then I could say you no longer have that.
That's funny.
It's funny to think the Royals will ever be back in the World Series.
No, they will. 2045. It's every 30 years the Royals win the World Series.
Every 2045.
That's great. Okay, so my reasoning for this. My reasoning for this.
If the Royals get a competent manager, they'll be in the World Series within 7 years.
I agree with that.
I'm not get a girlfriend within 7 years, Ryan. We can all have a expectation.
That's incredible. So my reasoning, finally, the Mets and the Dodgers are, to me, basically even. The only thing that separates the two right now is that the Mets are playing very injured, and the Dodgers are fully healthy. The Dodgers have nothing wrong with them. They have everyone there. They're firing on all cylinders. Okay, they don't have. Go ahead. Let's hear.
They're missing Kershaw.
I know they're missing Kershaw, but that's one guy.
And Walker Buehler is clearly playing with some type of nag or something because he's not looked as good as he's been.
Well, friend of the podcast, Blake Harris, said that it's pretty clear that Kershaw was a sticky substance user and that's his downfall.
You're forgetting a couple big guys here. Andrew Heaney was fantastic before he got hurt, but you're forgetting about Blake Trinan, their closer.
Wow.
Yes, that is
super reliever.
Yes, reliever, yes. Okay, I did forget
about
the
Dodgers are fully healthy. Come on, bud.
The Dodgers are more healthy than the Mets are, though.
They're still without Dustin May. He'll be back late in the year, but still, another starter.
The Mets injured list is better than the Dodgers injured list. That's really what you can say.
But don't try to say they're fully healthy.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. I apologize. I take it back. I take it
Come
back.
on now.
So the Mets injured list is better than Dodgers injured list. And when those players come back for the Mets, McGill, DeGrom, and Scherzer, the Mets proved that they could beat the Dodgers without those guys. With those guys and with the Dodgers players fully healthy, I will take the Mets over the Dodgers. And that's not as a Mets fan, that's as a baseball fan. You guys all know that I will tell you if the Mets are going to get slaughtered. And right now, I think that when the Mets get those guys back, they're going to be unbeatable. And it's going to be very, very hard for a team like any team to beat them. And that's why I would take the Mets over the Dodgers. So I have the Dodgers.
You're forgetting something, Michael.
What?
The Mets don't know how to put up runs when Jacob DeGrom pitches.
Well, we don't know that this year. This is a different team in 2022.
Yeah,
this
Starling Marte might put up 15.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, the Mets are proving they're doing things this year that they never have. They're getting hits with runners in the scoring position. Like what? They're like setting a franchise record this year in that department. So right now it's really close. And I will say it's literally a flip of the coin, but simply because I just think that the Mets have the better injured list and they will be getting those players back. It's contrary to what Spencer
The question is, who's better right now?
Who's better right now are the Dodgers, yes. But in terms of power rankings, the Mets are pulling their weight just as much with a worse team.
But these power rankings are based on right now.
But it's the same reason why I have the Padres at 5 because they don't have Tatis and they're playing so.
I don't have the Padres in my top 5 because they don't have Tatis. And they have.
I know.
And
I'm saying that's how I do it. That's how I'm doing it.
I don't think the Padres will get higher than 4. I really have a hard time, and that's including the Mets. I really don't think they could do better though. Depending on, of course, if DeGrom and Scherzer stay out, that's different. But
honestly, Spencer, I do agree with that to an extent. It depends with the availability due to injuries with Scherzer and DeGrom. But no, I don't think that's a bad take at all.
Okay. I try not. I've been beaten into submission a little bit here when it comes to using advanced analytics. But let me just bring this up a little bit here because this stood out to me just in general. The only 2 winning teams right now that are in the top 5 in WAR for both offense and pitching are the Dodgers and Yankees.
Okay.
With the Dodgers right now, they're 5th in pitching WAR without really anybody that's truly stood out this year. I feel like on the pitching side of the ball, offensively, they're number 1, which isn't surprising at all. I have them at number 2, however, just because at the end of the day, I believe in pitching more than hitting. I still think this Dodger lineup rivals quite literally like the 27 Yankees and how insane this lineup really is based on accolades and awards. I think almost 1 through 7, all these guys are going to be in the Hall of Fame or be a 50% vote like submissions once they do retire. This Dodger lineup is truly remarkably special and insane, and I hope everybody can cherish just the history because it's not going to last much further than this year, maybe next. So really just appreciating what we're seeing from the Dodgers at number 2 is just incredible.
That's fair. And then, Ryan, we already got your number 2. Do you want to do any more explaining?
No, you guys already know my number 2 is the Dodgers. I'm telling you that depth is ridiculous for that team.
Not as good as it's been in the past, though. And I'll be the first one to. I'll admit they're a little bit more shallow than they used to be. I don't think they could take another.
Yeah, they are, but still.
I don't think if they get one
their
more.
Their depth
hit,
is still amongst the best in the league, dude.
Oh, they're still.
I think they're a deeper team than the Mets, and I think that might be what puts them over in the long run is that they have more depth in them. But still, year after year, the Dodgers have some of the best depth in baseball.
And to be fair to you, Michael, the Dodgers have had 10 years of doing this. The Mets are just starting to kind of start to do that model.
Yeah, which is crazy. Hopefully they can be somewhere and get that depth. At number 2, I have the Mets, as I mentioned before. I didn't mention who I had at number 2, though. I just said that I thought the Mets are better than the Dodgers. So I do have the Mets at number 2, which means that at number 1, well, we all are in agreement. Do we want to sing it together here, Ryan?
Okay, I'll take the high note.
The best team in New York The Yankees.
Yankees. Oh, I thought we were gonna sing. I thought we were gonna quartet this thing.
No, I don't sing.
The
I'm not a
Yankees.
big singer.
It's
Because-
okay.
It's because I would ruin.
Okay.
I would burst some eardrums if I sang, so I don't sing.
Okay.
But yes, the Yankees have been incredible. Aaron Judge is the MVP.
He's been the best player in baseball so far this year because he hasn't
Yeah.
been bad, and that will change soon. Because both
Nasty
him
Nestor
and Mike
Cortez.
Trout are used to playing more than 50 games a year. Mike Trout thinks he's done for the year, and that's why he's been playing so bad. Because this is going to be the first time in 3 years, dating back to 2019, that Mike Trout's played more than 50 games. One of those seasons wasn't his fault. Aaron Judge has been hurt, but overall, Mike Trout hasn't. And this is what I was talking about when I didn't want to give him the number one, is because I knew some type of slip would happen, and Aaron Judge has been taking full advantage of it. In 2017, his other greatest year, Aaron Judge cratered for a couple of months. So maybe we'll see that happen here. But so far, he's been the best player in baseball. And that pitching staff has been number one in baseball, according to almost every major analytic and everyday analytic. They have been the best of the best.
It's kind of crazy to think that there's an argument that Garrett Cole's been their worst starter. There's an argument for it. Not saying that it's true in any capacity yet, but there's an argument about it. And Nestor Cortez has been tremendous. Same with Tyon. Same with Severino. The pitching, that's been the worry with me with the Yankees for years.
Yeah,
Now the pitching's there, and then the offense has been tremendous. So this Yankees team, if they can stay healthy, this team could be the best team in baseball when it's all said and done in the regular season.
It's hard for me to say it because I've been saying all year, and I said earlier on in the show that I just really thought the Yankees were going to fall on their face and that they couldn't keep this up. And you look at their team and their lineup, and just, gosh, they are not the best team in baseball on paper, but they are just winning. And they're winning a lot. I mean, how many long winning streaks has this team had this year? It's unbelievable to me. This team just keeps on winning. They just can't find a way to lose. Garrett Cole is literally their worst pitcher, which shocks me, but he is. And their bullpen is managing to pitch very well. I mean, heck, we're not even – Brett Gardner is not even on the team. Maybe that's what they needed. This whole time, apparently it wasn't. Apparently it was that they needed to get rid of Brett Gardner.
I've been saying that for years.
No.
Yes.
We do not accept Brett Gardner's slander here on this show.
It's
if
not
Kayla
slander.
was hearing about this, she would have both your heads right now.
Yeah,
She's
but
not
I've been
listening,
no, because I've been saying this.
Should I FaceTime her right now?
I've been saying it.
Go
since
ahead. I
2019.
mean,
I've been saying this for years. This guy, I literally, my projection for him this year was for him to go to a baseball field upstate.
yes, it was.
Done.
That was very funny.
Hey, I said retired or returns to the Yankees. So
I said
Best thing that
nothing.
they could have done. Because look at it this way: Aaron Judge playing
FaceTiming
center
Kayla, I
field
need
is
her take
really,
on
really
this
good.
slander.
Aaron,
Well,
Hicks,
let's hope she doesn't answer the phone in a very
Kayla,
there she is.
we have a little bit of an issue.
Make sure she knows she's live on the air. Thank
You're
you.
live on air right now. So
actually, yeah, New York.
need to hear
is
this.
a consensus.
Michael and Spencer are trash talking Brett Gardner.
Whoa, 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 whoa!
Whoa.
Hear the
Oh
quote
no!
first.
Let her speak. Let her speak.
She needs to hear the quote.
Down.
She
Brett
said,
Gardner is, first of all, if he was in the league right now, he's up there in like the top 10 fastest guys, and I literally cannot explain how he does it, but he does it. He's unbelievably fast for his age, and he doesn't get as many hits as he may have at one point, but he hits in the big moments because he's been in the big moments. So Brett Gardner is that useful, like, second leadoff in the 9 spot, and he's a great fielder for his height. Are you kidding me?
she brings up some really good points, honestly.
For his height.
And when the team struggled last year, he was one of the most consistent players when they were struggling.
I don't like that.
Kayla, thank you for your
Height.
input.
She didn't even hear what we had to say.
Thank you,
You're
Bye, Kayla.
That's excuse. Oh.
She's. You didn't even tell her what we even said, and that's
You
that's
didn't.
a shame.
You didn't let us even explain that he's been not good the last 2 years.
And that the Yankees just haven't won with him on the team ever at all.
Well, except for the first year.
Yeah, that's literally it. So
that's
get
what
rid
they
of him
needed to
and-
break the curse.
I do not stand for Brett Gardner slander.
They
I
bought the
don't.
World
'Cause
Series.
last year when that team was down horrendous, he was consistently getting on base. He was the one consistent guy.
I think you've listened to Kayla a little too much there,
No,
pal.
if you look, again, I've been subject to watching a lot more Yankees games because of Kayla and Egan, but still, it's a fact. He was one of the most consistent guys on a team that was insanely injury plagued and was not playing well.
But when you're consistently bad, that doesn't add any value.
Yeah, he was not great.
He was not playing consistently bad.
He was not
Ryan.
playing consistently good.
Ryan, let's whip up the stats just for historical
I
purposes.
can't believe we're talking about Brett Gardner when Aaron Judge is literally
He hit 222 last year with a 327 on base percentage and a 362 slugging.
in
Ryan.
Yankee Stadium.
Okay,
You
don't
play
go,
half your
don't
games
go
in
off
Yankee
slugging. He
Stadium.
was never a power hitter. Let's
He
calm
played
down on that.
140 games and he only drove in 39 runs. He
Okay, that's also just not on him.
sucked. He only
That's
stole
bad.
4 bases. That was the lowest of his career.
Speedster
only
Brett
hit-
Gardner stole 4 bases. Oh,
He struck out 100 times. He had I'm trying to find more stats.
many walks?
He walked 60 times, which is pretty average for his career. But last year was by far one of the worst years, if not that. No, last year was the worst
I'm
year
not
of his
saying
major
he's
league
the end all to
career.
be all, but I'm not gonna say that he's a terrible player.
That last year was the worst year of his career.
he would have dragged this team down to the point where they would have been losing to the Red Sox.
Probably. I agree with that.
Let's slow down on
I
that
do.
one.
I agree with that. But that'll do it for us today. We've somehow made it over an hour. I did not expect this. I'm shocked. But that's good. I'm glad that we got to talk baseball again for the first time in a little while. It's been a minute. We've had ourselves a little break. Oh, wait a minute.
Yo!
Nick, right at the end.
Still be on this. What's up?
Dude, what's good?
Hey.
I thought for sure, but I was literally going into the close. I said thank you for listening. Then I'm like, Nick. I was like, no way.
Oh,
Nick,
dang.
welcome.
Good show. Good show. I heard it was a good show.
Well, thanks. Well, I
That's
appreciate
what
it.
Kyle was telling me.
We lost our one viewer, so I'm assuming it was either you or someone who just thought that we were actually done.
Well, Kayla texted me saying asked me what was good on it, and I was like, I'm not even on the show right now.
You're like, I'm not even there.
I took everyone through my depressed mind of the Royals.
Oh, can I go next?
Sure.
But at least your team's winning games.
Dude,
Not a lot of them.
we're not winning games. That's the
Here's
issue.
the thing. At least your team has 20 wins.
Well, at least I was gonna say at least we're not last. So that's the only thing I had. On
At least you're not the worst team in baseball.
Yeah, I understand. Well, at least 4 of your 5 rotation starters aren't hurt from opening day.
Honestly, it might be a gift that some of them are hurt rather than having them on the mound. Let's be honest.
See, Blank, at least you and me can just suffer in pain right now.
We're used to it, buddy.
So much pain right now. And Miguel Cabrera is our best hitter at 39 years old. I'm gonna cry.
Yikes.
Yeah.
All I'm gonna say is I'm just getting excited for Riley Green, and that's really about it at this point.
Well, Torque's been okay.
Torque's been all the rookies have gotten up to a slow start, just expected, except for Julio Rodriguez. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, that dude's a monster. He's been a fun one to
You
watch.
guys got
Bobby
one
Witt's been
team
doing
that's
pretty well,
looking
too.
a lot
Bobby
better.
Witt's been picking it up. Hold on.
What do you guys have?
What?
I'm not going to take the
Yeah,
slander
there's
on
been a
Bobby
starter
Witt.
for you guys this year that's just been crushing it.
Tariq Skubal? Tariq Skubal's
Yeah.
actually my guy. Oh my god, he's size Skubal, bro. Like actually,
Tariq Seibel.
He's been-
literally Tariq Seibel, bro. Oh my god, he's so nasty.
So, is it correct that I'm the only one that wants just a clean house of coaches?
Yeah, I
Besides
don't want
hitting
to
coach?
coach. Yeah, I'm good.
No, yeah, I'm good too.
Yeah,
I'm
Charlie
loving life.
Bello's great.
It's
Yeah,
okay,
actually,
Ryan. We've all been there at one point. I've been there a lot. Just
Yeah.
not anymore.
But your
thankfully.
pitching staff is now one of the worst in MLB history.
Not yet.
No, it is not. No, the Mets have been one of the
Still-
best.
there's
thankfully.
still plenty of
the
seasons
Royals-
Bro, our
to
pitching
go.
is so
Pitching
good.
staff is
You never
on
know.
pace to be one of the worst, if not the worst in MLB history.
Our hitting is the worst in MLB history.
You
You want to just
know,
like
Arizona, just kind of like a sandwich without mayo, just pretty plain.
Well,
It's facts.
I
I,
don't know. I don't
that's
like
fair.
mustard, so I was gonna say mustard.
I agree with that. The D-backs have been very baseball.
They're
They've
white
been a
bread.
baseball team.
They've been a baseball team for sure.
At
They
least
have.
they've been competitive in most games.
Yeah,
Yeah, they have.
They even
Which
came
is-
back
The Royals
against
have been
Royals.
shut out the most in baseball.
Yeah,
Ouch. That's really rough. That is very rough.
Yeah, Matheny's
Guys,
gone.
I can
Right?
now say it because I'm legal. This show, I think, might be driving me to the bottle.
That's right. You can
Oh.
finally. It's possible. It is. Well, Nick, do you have any final remarks before we head out? Any thoughts on power rankings?
Power rankings. It should really just go Dodgers, Mets, Yankees in whatever order. Top three. I'm just waiting for the Tigers to get somewhat healthy. I haven't had my outfielder Austin Meadows for a month now because of vertigo, so I don't even want to talk about that. So yeah, I'm just waiting for the team to get healthy, and then I will start indulging in some more baseball. I'm indulging in a lot of losing baseball right now, but hopefully something changes soon.
I feel
Hey.
that one.
It's college baseball season, y'all. That's something to look for.
Hey, you know what? Do you know what's sad?
What?
All of my teams have just been struggling. All of my teams. ASU softball lost in their super regional.
I mean, they choked. They didn't lose. They choked.
They choked.
It did.
That was
choke,
bad.
yes.
That was
Very bad.
the
But-
freshman team that was never supposed to be there.
But man, let's just be honest. ASU baseball might not be able to field a team next year with the amount of transfers.
Oh my god,
Woo!
that's
It's
terrible.
crazy.
Dear God, that's
Every-
just blowing
every
my mind.
Champagne's now in.
I want to
McGee,
play. Put me in.
Haas.
Champagne
We should
just
audition.
announced.
I'm
Yeah,
auditioning.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
auditioning to try out, boy. This isn't
Yep.
the team.
Yep. Hey, let's all go try out right now.
Let's go try out.
Let's go.
I want to. I might.
I got Willie's number. We can make this happen.
Hey, they need a jump
I
ball
think
pitcher.
I might be able to pull it off.
All right, let's do it.
I'll be the fastest guy on the team. I'll be Brett Gardner. There we go.
Me and Travis Tucker are homies, so I got you guys.
Are you okay? Well, then maybe we can arrange for something. I'm not homies with
90
anyone.
feet.
I'm not homies with anybody either. It's okay.
Oh, I thought you were serious.
I wish. I would told you guys way before that.
Well, you never know. I mean,
Hey,
you've covered the
Before
team
we
a
get
little
off,
bit.
we do have to shout out a former member of this show.
Oh, yes.
Marco's going to the World Cup.
That
That
is
is
so
incredible.
awesome, bro.
Absolutely huge news.
He is
I love that.
absolutely killing it.
He is killing. Good for Marco, bro.
You've got to freaking love it. It is awesome. You have to love it. Marco's just he's going to be our famous friend one day.
Yeah, we'll be
Oh,
like, we knew
yeah.
him when.
Yeah, way back when. Thankfully, he
We knew
loves
him
us.
when
I'm gonna be
us three attacked when he and I attacked Michael for his horrible takes.
working with Marco all summer. I can't wait. I'm gonna be right.
When
with
do you
him
start that
all
job?
summer long. Next week, next Tuesday.
That's
actually.
awesome. Nice.
I know, I'm so hype. It's finally here. I'm just beyond thrilled, and I get to work with Marco and other great people all summer. I haven't gotten many days that I'm scheduled for at the start, but I don't really care. I'm getting to run the scoreboard at Chase Field a couple times, do the replays. It's gonna be a blast.
makes
I don't
me
like to
feel
brag
better.
about stuff.
I cannot find a job here back home because nobody wants to hire someone that's leaving in 2 months to go back to school.
You're calling
Yeah.
baseball games. That's good enough.
I get